Today in this class we are going to study about carbon and its compounds. Okay, Nimma part 2 science part 2 nalli iruvanta carbon and its compounds chapter na now study marta hogana. So now when you study about carbon, yes, in the periodic table you know that in which group does the carbon element is present? In which group the carbon element is present? No, I am saying you the group number. 14. Yes, 14th group we are having a carbon element. So when you take the 14th group, yes, what is the atomic number of carbon? 6. So when I write the electronic configuration, what will be the electronic configuration of carbon? 2,4, right? 2,4. This will be the electronic configuration of carbon. So when you see the last shell, how many number of elements are there, or how many number of electrons are there? 4. Then what will be the valency of carbon? What will be the valency of carbon? Yes, valency of carbon is 4. Okay, valency of carbon is 4. So in this chapter, one very much important question, they are going to ask you the characteristics of carbon. Okay, when they ask you the characteristics of carbon, the first characteristic of carbon is, it is known as, carbon is known as tetravalency. Okay, it is having a characteristic of tetravalency. Okay, so this is the main important characteristic of carbon. Remember? Okay. Why do we call it as a tetravalency? Because the element of carbon having a valency of 4 number, so we call it as a tetravalency. Okay. So carbon, yes, atomic number is 6. So when we write the electronic configuration 2,4, so 4 will be the valency of carbon atom and it is known as tetravalency, one characteristic. And another characteristic, we are going to call it as a catenation. Okay, the another characteristic is catenation. One is tetravalency and another one is catenation. So in next classes, that is after I proceed with some topics, I am going to tell you what is catenation also. So before that I have to explain you little bit much more about the carbon. So only I am keeping it as a hold. Okay. So now when you take it as a catenation, remember two properties are there. Properties antanadru kelbodu, characteristics antanadru kelbodu. So when they ask you characteristics or properties of carbon, yes, it is tetravalency and having a characteristic of catenation. Okay. Now before going to know what is catenation, just I am going to explain you regarding carbon atom. See, carbon atom is the one where it is going to be having forming a more number of compounds with the other elements. Okay, carbon another very much precious atom where it is making you to build a bondage between the other elements with forming a large number of compounds. Okay, not only with the other elements, even it is going to build the compound with its own carbon itself, carbon. So when we write it out, yes, we can form a larger number of carbon compounds. Okay, it means that it is building a bond between themselves itself. That is what we call it as carbon characteristic. Another one thing, what is the main purpose or main feature of carbon is, it is going to build its own characteristic, or it is going to build its own bondage between other carbon atoms. Okay, so ಏನು ಬಾಂಡೇಜ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ? ಸೊ ನಾನು ಒಂದು ಡ್ಯಾಶ್ ಅಂತ ತೋರಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ನಿಮಗೆ. ಸೊ here next we have to proceed with the two thing, what type of bondage it is going to build up. So before that we have to learn about two bonds. One is ionic bond and another one is covalent bond. Okay, ionic bond and covalent bond. ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರತಿ ಒಂದು ಟಾಪಿಕ್ಗೂ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾವಿಂಗ್ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಓನ್ ರಿಲೇಷನ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್, you have kept catenation like that itself, you are moving into the ionic bond and covalent bond, remember, because once you understand what is ionic bond, Once you understand what is covalent bond, then only you will understand the meaning of catenation. Okay, now listen, ionic bond in the sense, see now, when I take an example of sodium chloride, okay, when I take an example of sodium chloride, or once just I am going to tell you sodium I am going to take, then we will go to the next thing. So what is the atomic number of sodium? In the previous classes you have studied. What is the atomic number of sodium? 11. Yes, 11. So when you write the electronic configuration, what is the electronic configuration of sodium? 2, 8, 1. Right? Then when I take chlorine, what happens? What is the atomic number of chlorine? 17. So what will be the electronic configuration? 2, 8, 7. Right? So when you take these two elements, sodium in the final or the last shell, how many number of electrons are there? Yes, it is having 1 electron, and chlorine it is having 7. So now what does the sodium is going to do? It is going to lose its 1 electron, right? Sodium is going to lose its 1 electron, and what is the chlorine is going to do? It is going to gain 1 electron from the sodium and form a element called as sodium chloride, right? It means that I am going to use two words. One is gaining the electron and another one is losing the electron. Here sodium is losing the electron and chlorine is gaining the electron. So these two words, the compounds which are being built, illi kuda compound form aito. Ya compound form aito? Sodium chloride. Already I have learned the electronic dot structure, right? Sodium, it will be having 1 electron, and the chlorine in the outer shell it is having 7 electron. So what is going to happen now? It is going to form a bond here, right? It means that sodium is going to share the electron or lose the electrons to the chlorine, and chlorine is gaining the electron from the sodium and forming a sodium chloride, right? So now we will when sodium, yes, it is losing, so I can call it as a Na plus ion. Chlorine is gaining an electron, so I can call it as a Cl minus ion, anion and cation. Okay, so the bond where forming when two elements are losing or gaining the electrons. Okay, so such bond we call it as ionic bond. It means that they are converting as ions, right? When they lose or when they gain, they are converting as ions. So such type of bonds we call it as a ionic bond. Okay, so the compounds which are being formed by losing electrons or gaining electrons, we call it as ionic bond. Very important point, not only for your 10th board exam, for your further studies also. Okay, now what is the next thing? Covalent bond. So till now whatever the chapters we studied in the chemistry, everything is based on ionic bond. Now coming into carbon and its compounds, we are studying the covalent bond. So that is the main characteristic of this carbon. Not only carbon, some other elements are also there which are building a covalent bond. So that we will learn later. Now what is covalent bond then? Simple example, yeah. When you writing something in the book in a classroom, two friends are sitting and writing. Okay, one is having a pencil and another having a eraser. Okay, one is having a pencil and another one is having a eraser. So what they are going to do? If one person who is having a pencil, he will be writing something, he will make some mistake. He can't continue that the same way, no? So what is going to do? He is borrowing the eraser from the front and he is erasing the mistake and writing. And once he finish, what he is going to do? He is going to give to his friend. It means that they are sharing each other. Okay? Both are also required. Ibrugu kuda bekagide adu. Yado pencil athwa eraser. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ವಾಟ್ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಡೂ ವೆನ್ಎವರ್ ದೇ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಡ್ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಶೇರ್ ಇಟ್. ಸೊ ಅದೇ ಥರ ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಕೆಮಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದಟ್ ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ಫಾರ್ಮುಲಾಸ್ ಆರ್ ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ಬಾಂಡೇಜಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ there are some elements which are going to share the electrons, okay, and after sharing the electrons they are going to build the bonds. Such bonds we call it as covalent bond. Okay, just I will write it out if you it will be easy for you. Losing or gaining electrons we call it as a ionic bond. Sharing of electrons we call it as a covalent bond. Okay, now listen, simple example I am going to tell you. You know that hydrogen, right? When you write the hydrogen, how do you write? You write it as H2, right? So hydrogen when you take, yes, this hydrogen, how many electron does the atomic number of hydrogen? 1. So what will be the electronic configuration? 1 itself. So it will be having a 1 electron, and at the same time another hydrogen also will be waiting with 1 electron. Now it is not a complete hydrogen element, it is just an atom, hydrogen atom. Okay, so what this hydrogen atom will be doing? To form into an hydrogen element, it will be waiting to take the electrons or gain the electrons from someone. But this hydrogen, if it loses the electron, what happens? It doesn't exist only. If these hydrogen atoms lose the electrons, it does not exist, and it cannot gain from someone also, right? So what does it do? This hydrogen is going to, both of them are going to share the electrons between them two, and it is going to form a covalent bond. So two hydrogen atoms are going to share each electron with together them and form a H2 molecule. Okay, so how did the H2 molecule form? By sharing the electrons. This hydrogen also did not lose, this hydrogen also did not lose, they just shared each other and formed a H2 ion. Okay, so this we call it as a covalent bond. So ma'am, till now only carbon will form a covalent bond? No, some other elements are also there who are going to form a covalent bonds, but we are going to learn them later. But it means that they are not going to form more number of organic compounds, but carbon will be forming a more carbon atoms. Okay, so first ನಾವು ಇದನ್ನು ಕಲಿಯೋಣ. ಕೋವೆಲೆಂಟ್ ಬಾಂಡ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಶೇರಿಂಗ್ ಆಫ್ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲೇನಾಯಿತು? single bondage is formed, single line. Can you see this single line? So this we call it as a single bond. Okay, it is called as single bond. Now till here everyone understood? Fine. Now I am going to take a oxygen atom. What is the atomic number of oxygen? 8. So what will be the electronic configuration of oxygen atom? 2,6. So 6 in the sense, when I write the electronic dot structure, yes, it will be having 2 electrons. Okay, and I am going to be having another oxygen atom where even it is also having a, what is that, 2 electrons in the outer shell. So what these two things are going to do means they are going to form a bondage between these two. Okay, so this actually how many lines I am going to draw, how many bond it is going to create, andre totally 2 electrons from here and 2 electrons. It means that pair of electrons are being shared, 2 pair of electrons, 2 electrons from here and 2 electrons from here. Illi ಎಷ್ಟು pair bantu? Only one electron is being shared. So here this we call it as double bond. Okay, so from this 2 molecule of oxygen will be formed. Understood? So when you take here single covalent bond, here we have a double covalent bond. Understood? It means that when you take the ionic compounds or ionic bondages, only one type of bondages will be there. There is no like single, double, triple and all. But when you come to this covalent bond, we have single, double and triple also. We'll learn later. Okay, fine. Understood this one? Now, till here you understood single bond and double bond. With the continuation of this, yes. Can you tell me nitrogen molecule's atomic number? Nitrogen molecule, nitrogen atom, sorry, nitrogen atom. 7. Okay. So what will be the electronic configuration of it? Nitrogen 2, 5. So 2, 5 will be there. It means that when I write the dot structure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. 1 electron, nitrogen is having 1 electron. So I am going to take 3 hydrogen atoms. Fine. 3 hydrogen atoms. I am going to write it here in the middle. Listen. So 1, here what is happening? 5, right? So when I take 3 hydrogen atoms, so how many electrons will be there in the outer shell of hydrogen? 1. Right? Understood? So now what is happening? This nitrogen is going to share the electron with the 3 hydrogen atoms and it is going to form a NH3. What is NH3? Ammonia. Right? So ammonia is an example of triple bond. Okay? Is an example of triple bond. So when I take N, yes, like this we are going to show the hydrogen, what is that? Bondages between ammonia. Okay, so triple bond will be formed. It means that 3 hydrogen atoms are going to be formed between them. Understood? So this actually we call it as a triple bond. Understood? Fine. So now you learnt about single bond, double bond, triple bond. Now you can have a question that nowhere we saw the carbon atom. Did I take anywhere carbon atom? No. It means that not only carbon atom, others are also going to be form a covalent bond, but simple example, carbon atom is going to form a n number of organic compounds. Okay. Illenaito just ammonia 1 or 2 compounds, okay, oxygen 1 or 2 compounds, hydrogen 1 or 2 compounds, idra form aguddu. Ade ನಾವು ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ ಅಂತ ತಗೊಂಡಾಗ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಕ್ ಕಾಂಪೌಂಡ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. Now this is a new word for you. What is this organic compound? You learnt about ionic bonds or ionic compounds, covalent bonds or covalent compounds. Then what is organic compounds? Okay. ಇಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೂ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ ನಿಮಗೆ? These are all what I said was a basic of this chapter. Okay. Now based on this single, double, triple bond, I will tell you what is this actually. Single bond, double bond and triple bond where we are going to use. And in this chapter you are only going to play with this single, double and triple bonds only. Remember. If you understand that easily, yes, you can play with this single, double and triple and you can score a good marks from this chapter. Okay. Now till here keep it in your mind itself. Now little bit I am going to move somewhere else and you are also having a one question, what is catenation? Till that we have not yet moved there. Okay. Now listen, from the childhood you have studied about science, right? Science, right? In the earlier stage of your school level you had think that only one subject, science. As you grown up, as you moved into your higher studies, science was divided into how many types? 3 types. So what are those? The 3 types here? Physics. Yes, physics, chemistry, biology. So you know that what is physics, what is chemistry, what you are going to study in biology, everything. Now I don't want to waste that time. Okay. Now which chapter we are studying? Carbon and its compounds. Under what topic it is going to come under chemistry. Now we will study that. So now you are still more grown up, means from the next class you are moving into college level. Okay, so you should also be knowing chemistry we are also dividing into further type. Okay, so biology I think you know already, botany and zoology we are going to divide, means study of plants and study of animals, different way. Chemistry nallu matte types ide. ಒಂದು physical chemistry, not the physics here, physical chemistry. Okay, then organic chemistry, and then we have inorganic chemistry. These are all not to your syllabus, but I want you people to know this also, because it will help you to study further days for further topics. Okay, now physical chemistry, organic chemistry, inorganic chemistry. ನಾವು ಇಷ್ಟು ದಿನ ಏನು ಕೆಮಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಓದಿದ್ವಲ್ಲ, those are all based on these inorganic chemistries. Okay, now we are studying about organic chemistry. It means that be proud of yourself, you are grown up, you are stepping into some other thing, new thing, right? Remember, LKG you are studying only slanting lines A, B, C, D and all. Then you came into big letter, small letter. Then you came into words, words, sentences. Okay, like this only. In this science also you are going to step into the thing. Science is not only your physics, chemistry and biology. Into that again we have a depth. Okay, now see, this is actually very much interesting topic. What I said you, organic chemistry, you know, this is what you are going to study now, carbon and its compounds. Andre organic chemistry andre enu, what things we are going to study here? Organic, we call it as a life. Ma'am, life is nothing but biology topic. Why we are studying here? See, in the chemistry also we have a life. Okay, it means that the chemical elements which are required or which are essential for our life, we call it as a organic chemistry. So organic chemistry nalli enagutte andre main part is carbons. So ನಾವು ಬೆಳಿಗ್ಗೆ ಎದ್ದಾಗಿಂದ ರಾತ್ರಿ ಮಲಗೋವರೆಗೂ ಪ್ರತಿ ಒಂದರಲ್ಲೂ ನಾವು ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ ಆಟಮ್ಸನ್ನು ಅಥವಾ ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ ಕಾಂಪೌಂಡ್ಸ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಡಿಪೆಂಡ್ ಆಗೇ ಇರ್ತೀವಿ. ವಿಚ್ ಆರ್ ಆಲ್ ದೋಸ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್? as soon as you get up, you are going to take out your bed sheet, right? Spreadsheets. What is going to that? Spreadsheets or bed sheets are also made up of carbons and hydrogen, hydrocarbons anta heltivi, hydrocarbon compounds. Okay, they are made up of hydrogen and carbon. Then you will go to washroom, brush your teeth, that what is that, brush foils iruttalla, those are also made up of carbon and its compounds. Okay, not only these things, our body is also made up of carbon and hydrogen. So without carbon and hydrogen, our body also cannot be formed. And main thing, you know that carbohydrates, remember, very essential for your body. Not only that, the cells which we are been growing, no, those are also main part of this carbon and hydrogen. Okay, so for that thing we call it as organic chemistry. And this carbon and compounds, what is going to form a carbon compounds, no, they are all leading into life to us. Understood now why this carbon and compounds coming here? Fine. Now so organic chemistry nalli ನಾವು ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಕಾಂಪೌಂಡ್ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ನಾವು ಈ ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಇನ್ ಕಾಂಪೌಂಡ್ಸ್ನ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಕ್ ಕಾಂಪೌಂಡ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕೂಡ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಇನ್ ವೆನ್ ಯು ಗೋ ಫಾರ್ ಯುವರ್ PUC, ಇಫ್ ಯು ಟೇಕ್ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಆಲ್, ನೋ, ಯುವರ್ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ 80 to 90% of syllabus based on organic chemistry. So this chapter is very much important for you if you want to score well in first PUC science or second PUC science. ಇದು ಬೇಸಿಕ್ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದರೆ ಇನ್ ಫಸ್ಟ್ PUC ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತೀರಾ, ಯಾಕಾದರೂ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ತಗೊಂಡು ಅದರಲ್ಲೂ ಕೆಮಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಯಾಕಾದರೂ ತಗೊಂಡು ಅನ್ನೋ ಲೆವೆಲಿಗೆ ಆಗಿಬಿಡ್ತೀರಾ. ಸೊ ಲರ್ನ್ ದಿಸ್, ವೆರಿ ಮಚ್ ಎಸೆನ್ಷಿಯಲ್. ಓಕೆ, ನೌ ಲಿಸನ್. ಫಿನಿಶ್ಡ್ ಹಿಯರ್? Understood till here? So now we have one word called as catenation. So the main characteristic of carbon is, one is tetravalency. Why it is called as tetravalent? Carbon is a tetravalent element anta heltivi athwa tetravalent atom anta heltivi because it is having a valency of 4. Okay, and another one word, that is catenation. Most repeated question in the board exam. What do you mean by catenation? Means the compounds which are going to build a bondage between the similar element or with the same atom. Artha aita enadru? The compound, or if I take an atom carbon, it is going to build a compound between themselves itself. Okay, that we call it as catenation. Okay, so ಏನಿದು hydrogen ನೋಡಿದ್ವಿ ಅಲ್ವಾ, hydrogen and hydrogen, it is also building a bond, so it is also having little amount of catenation. Oxygen also, but when you take with the carbon, you know, till 60 atoms it can build the carbon compounds. Even silicon can build, even if you take as you saw the ammonia, covalent bond only it is building. Okay, silicon irbodu, hydrogen irbodu, oxygen, these are also can build a bondage between them, but ammonia tagondaga nitrogen is building with hydrogen. Okay, but when I take H2 molecule, yes, it is building bondage between the same element. Oxygen, it is building with the same thing. Silicon also can build with the same element, Si. Okay, but it can only build till 4 to 5 atoms. Okay, maximum 8 atoms it can build. Okay, but when you take carbon elements, till the 60 carbon atoms ವರೆಗೂ ಅದು ಬಿಲ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಹಾಗಾಗಿ we call it as carbon is the major group which is going to play in the organic compounds. Okay, understood? Fine. So understood what is catenation? Building the bondage between the same atoms, we call it as a catenation. Fine. Now till here everybody understood? So just once I will revise it out. We studied carbon, its atomic number, electronic configuration. Characteristic of carbon is tetravalent and catenation. So what is tetravalency and catenation, you know that, right? And coming to the next thing, what is ionic bond and what is covalent bond? Fine. Then in that we studied what is single bond, double bond and triple bond. Okay, fine. I also just glanced you about different types of chemistry, or ಇಲ್ಲಿ types ಅಂತ ಅನ್ನೋದಕ್ಕಿಂತ we have to use a word called as branch of chemistry. Branch of science is physics, chemistry and biology. Branch of chemistry will be physical chemistry, organic chemistry and inorganic chemistry. Okay, then we also studied, yes, what is catenation. Fine. So ಈಗ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ ಮೇನ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಬಿಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ದ ಕೋವೆಲೆಂಟ್ ಬಾಂಡ್ಸ್. ಕೋವೆಲೆಂಟ್ ಬಾಂಡ್ಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? ಶೇರಿಂಗ್ ದ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ವೆನ್ ಇಟ್ ಶೇರಿಂಗ್ ದ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್, ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನಿಂಗ್? ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನಿಂಗ್ ಯಾರ್? ಶೇರಿಂಗ್ ದ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಬಂದಾಗ covalent bond will be formed, right? So now just one thing I should tell you, and very much important question they are going to ask you. Okay, carbon is a tetravalent. Okay, so it can build a bondage, covalent bond na adu form ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. why ಅಂತನೂ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. yes, one word is valency will be 4, right? But why it is not sharing the electrons and losing the electrons like other element? Carbon can also lose 4 electrons, no? Carbon can also lose or gain 4 electrons, no? See, one thing kaltkolli, these are all some basics for you. When I tell you about periodic table, right, you know that first group, second group, 3 to 12th group elements are variable valency, and from here 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, right? And where is the carbon placed? Where is the carbon placed? Yes, it is placed in the 14th group. Listen now, we have one rule in the periodic table. Idella very much important for you, not to your syllabus, but when they ask you the application based questions, very much important for you to answer. Okay, when I say the periodic table, you know, you have studied about modern periodic table. 18 groups are there and 7 periods are there. 18th group elements are a noble gas elements. It means that they are stable. ಅವ್ರ ಹತ್ರ ಹೊಟ್ಟೆ ತುಂಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿರೋ ಎಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ, ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ನಾವು ನೋಬಲ್ ಗ್ಯಾಸ್ ಅಂತೀವಿ. ದೇ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಶೇರ್, ದೇ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಲೂಸ್, ದೇ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಗೇನ್, ರೈಟ್? ನಿಯಾನ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಹೀಲಿಯಮ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ನೋಬಲ್ ಗ್ಯಾಸಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೋವಂಥದ್ದು. ವೆನ್ ಐ ಟೇಕ್ 14th group elements, yes, first element is carbon. Okay, see now, when I take this group or periodic table, we have one rule that the size of the atom, okay, any atom, the size of the atom is going to decrease, when it is moving from left to right. Okay, when I write like this, left to right, ಓಕೆನಾ? ಅಂದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ತಾ ಬರ್ತಾ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಆಟಮಿಕ್ ಸೈಜ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಚಿಕ್ಕದಾಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಅರ್ಥ. ಚಿಕ್ಕದಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದರೆ ದ ನ್ಯೂಕ್ಲಿಯಸ್ ಸೈಜ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ರಿಡ್ಯೂಸಿಂಗ್. ನ್ಯೂಕ್ಲಿಯಸ್, ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿಡ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಅಟಾಮಿಕ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್, ನೋ? Yes, nucleus will be there, and inside that protons and neutrons will be there, and electrons will be revolving around them with the subshells. Remember here? Now listen here. So one rule, yes, the size of the atom will be decreasing when it is moving from left to right, and another rule says that from top to bottom ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಓಕೆನಾ? ಸೊ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಲೆಫ್ಟ್ ಟು ರೈಟ್ ಹೋಗುವಾಗ ಏನಾಯಿತು? ಡಿಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಆಯಿತು. ಟಾಪ್ ಟು ಬಾಟಮ್ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಏನಾಯಿತು? ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಆಯಿತು. ಇಟ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ವೆನ್ ಯು ಟೇಕ್ ದಿಸ್ ಥಿಂಗ್, ಆಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಮಿಂಗ್, ಎಸ್, ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ ಆಟಮ್ ನ್ಯೂಕ್ಲಿಯಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ, ಸೈಜ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಸ್ಮಾಲ್. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಮೇಲಿಂದ ಬರ್ತಾ ಏನಾಗಿದೆ? ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ ಅಂದರೆ ದಿಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ವಾಟ್? ಅಗೈನ್ ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ಸೈಜ್. ಸೊ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ it says that carbon atom is having a smallest nucleus, or size of the nucleus is small. It means that when size of the nucleus is small, yeah, okay, size of the nucleus enagide? Small agide. Now take, just draw this thing. Listen, when I take this 2,4 is the electronic configuration of carbon. So first shell, ಯಾವುದು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಶೆಲ್ಲು? K ಅಲ್ವಾ? K ನಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಯಿತು? how many electrons are there? Yes, 2 electrons are there. It is filled. Now when I take to the next shell, which is the next shell? Yes, L shell. Okay, L shell. Then ಎಷ್ಟು electrons ಇದೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ? 4 electrons ಇದೆ. 1, 2, 3, 4. You see that if this is the nucleus, what is the nucleus is having? Protons, positively charged. And why we say atoms are stable? Because the protons will be attracting the negatively charged elements ಅಥವಾ ನೆಗೆಟಿವ್ಲಿ ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ಸ್, ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ? ಆಟಮ್ ಸ್ಟೇಬಲ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ನಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಪ್ರೋಟಾನ್ಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಟು ನಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಈಗೇನಾಗುತ್ತೆ? ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ 4 ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ. ಆ ಶೆಲ್ ಫಿಲ್ ಆಗಕ್ಕೆ ಇನ್ನೂ ಎಷ್ಟು ಎಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಬೇಕು? ಎಮ್ ಶೆಲ್ ಫಿಲ್ ಆಗಕ್ಕೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಬೇಕು? 4 ಬೇಕಲ್ವಾ? ಟೋಟಲಿ 8 ಇರಬೇಕು ಅದು ಸ್ಟೇಬಲ್ ಆಗಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ. 4 ಶೆಲ್ ಬೇಕು. ಆ 4 ಶೆಲ್ನ ನಾನು ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ? ಯಾವುದೋ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಎಲಿಮೆಂಟಿಂದ ತೊಗೊಂಬಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಇದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಇಡ್ತೀನಿ. ದ ಸೈಜ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ನ್ಯೂಕ್ಲಿಯಸ್ ಇಸ್ ವಾಟ್? ವೆರಿ ಸ್ಮಾಲ್, ರೈಟ್? ಏನಾಗ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ ಅವಾಗ? ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಕೊಲಾಪ್ಸ್ಡ್. ವೆನ್ ಐ ಟೇಕ್ ಅದರ್ 4 electrons, and what is going to happen? When we take another extra 4 electrons and put it in the carbon atom, yes, the nucleus will collapse, right? In case ಈ 4 ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ನ ಬೇರೆ ಎಲ್ಲಿಗೋ ಲೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಎಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಜೊತೆಗೆ. ಅವಾಗ ಏನಾಯಿತು, ಈ ನ್ಯೂಕ್ಲಿಯಸ್ಗೆ ಇಟ್ ಕೆನಾಟ್ ಬಿ ಸ್ಟೇಬಲ್ ಅಗೇನ್. It means it cannot take control over itself. Again it gets collapsed. It means that when it lose or when it gain, collapse ಆಗ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. It means that, so the main property of this is tetravalency. It means that 4 valency, it cannot lose or gain, only it can share. Understood? So based on that property only, carbon is going to form a covalent compounds. Understood? Fine. So you can answer like this also. When we take 4 electrons, when carbon takes 4 electrons, size of the nucleus is small, so it cannot take the atomic size there and it gets collapsed. If we lose that, again what happens? The strength of the nucleus will be lost. Again it gets collapsed. Understood? So based on that only, carbon is going to form a covalent compounds. It means that it is going to share the 4 electrons. Again another carbon atoms also will be waiting. So it is going to share both of them for 4 electrons and form a covalent compounds. Understood? So this is the main characteristic of carbon. Now onwards we have to study what is carbon compounds, which and all are the main thing is hydrocarbons only. Okay na? So in the next class we are also going to study what are hydrocarbons, which type of, what type of things are there, general formula. Very much interesting here. ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಇದು ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯಿತು ಅಂದರೆ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಲಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಫಾರ್ಮುಲಾ, ಲೈಕ್ ಮನೆ ಮುಂದೆ ರಂಗೋಲಿ ಬಿಡಿಸ್ತಿರಲ್ಲ ಅದೇ ಥರ ಎಷ್ಟು ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ ಆಟಮ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಹೈಡ್ರೋಜನ್ ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಟ್ಕೋ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಮಾಲಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಫಾರ್ಮುಲಾ ಏನು, ಮಾಲಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ನೇಮ್ ಏನು, ಸಾರಿ ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ನೇಮ್ ಏನು, ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ಫಾರ್ಮುಲಾ ಏನು. ವೆರಿ ಮಚ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್. ಸೊ ವಿಲ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ದಟ್ ಇನ್ ದ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್. ಟಿಲ್ ಹಿಯರ್ ಎವ್ರಿಬಡಿ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟುಡ್? ದೀಸ್ ಆರ್ ಆಲ್ ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ದ ಥಿಂಗ್ ವಿ ಸ್ಟಡಿಡ್ ಹಿಯರ್. ಇಷ್ಟು ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಲರ್ನ್ ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಾಂಪೌಂಡ್ಸ್, ಕಾರ್ಬನ್, ಹೈಡ್ರೋಕಾರ್ಬನ್ಸ್, what is single bond, single bond na ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, where does the double bond is formed, where is the triple bond, what type of what are the compounds called which is having a double bond, ಆ ಥರ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಲಿತೀವಿ. ಇಲ್ಲಿಂದ ನಿಮಗೆ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ವೆರಿ ಮಚ್ ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದಟ್ ನ್ಯೂ ವರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಸ್ಟಡಿ. ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಥಿಂಕ್ ದಟ್ ಆಲ್ಕೇನ್ಸ್, ಆಲ್ಕೀನ್ಸ್, ಆಲ್ಕೈನ್ಸ್. ಓಕೆ, ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಹೊಸ ವರ್ಡ್ಸ್ನ ಕಲಿತೀರಾ. ಇಟ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ದಟ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಗ್ರೋಯಿಂಗ್. Okay, so make an interest of studying these things. We'll study in the continue in the next class. Okay, fine, thank you.